Alright, what is up YouTube? It is K right here. I'm back with another good video for today. I wanted to comment on the Amanda Serrano Jake Paul situation. And I guess after that we'll probably just talk about maybe women's boxing, maybe, like my universal rules I like to, advocate for boxing as a whole. I'll do that for a next video, but either way, let's talk about Amanda Serrano. She's a great lady. I love Miss Queen Serrano. I hope everything is well with the Queen. But she is now signed with MVP Promotions. I guess that is the promotions for Jake Paul. So she doesn't have a promoter. It's just that Jake Paul is just I guess he's a sponsored advisor in that sense to help out Amanda's career in whatever shape, way possible, to have the financial backing for her, which is good. But here's the problem. Jake Paul has not done any business in boxing other than just have him set up his fights and then boom, whatever's agreed on both angles is how the fight's made, which is really good because that's how it should be in boxing. There shouldn't be any, oh, this side of the street versus that side of the street. Every fight should just be made plain and simple. You want to fight? Can we agree? Boom. That is how fights should be made in boxing. But sadly, it's not like that because certain fighters have certain, objectives to go for in the sport of boxing, where they say, hey, I don't want to fight you, blah, 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 for this X amount of reasons, and for that amount of reasons. And I think, honestly, it's really disrespectful because, one, there's no centralized structure in the sport of boxing where you see fighters come out of their way to actually want to fight, and then the other fighters that don't want to fight, they find ways to duck those fighters. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to do it in the sport of boxing, where you know that you're going to have to meet this girl or meet this guy somewhere down the road, you should lose your placement in ranking, or you should lose your opportunity of being a world champion, or lose your title as a world champion if you're going to just keep avoiding them, because one, you're holding up the sport, and two, you're making it harder for the best to fight the best, and it's just making the sport, unpopular, if you will. So that's why I think where Amanda Serrano is at in her career, she is badly ducked and avoided, and rightfully so, because she is, pretty much like one of the baddest females on the planet, next to Clarissa Shields, and I give her nothing but respect, because Amanda and Clarissa, they are the only faces of female boxing that I would say that are actually putting in the time and effort to do the things that they need to do in order to be great. The only problem, between the two is just that Clarissa Shields, she has, developed her name over time to market herself to be a good fighter, because she talked her, she talks her trash talk to the audience in order for people to say, oh no, you can't be this, you can't be that, blah blah blah, you need to be respectful, you need to be, feminine, you need to do all these things what females should be doing, which is very how should I say, it's very demoralizing, and it's very inhumane, because it's like, just because boxing is a male dominated sport doesn't mean females have a certain way of how they're supposed to talk in and out the ring. And that don't mean that don't mean anything, because even for the sport of female wrestling, at least female wrestlers get a fair shot like all the other wrestlers. There's no double standards in the sport where females, they wrestle for less, for less periods or for less minutes per round or per period. And when I say period, that's just another word for round. But either way, the sport of wrestling is basically just straight up fair for girls. And some girls are actually really good, probably if not better than men. I know this one girl, Her name is Alexis Porter. She's a really, really good, how should I say, wrestler that I went to high school with at one point in time. And I think she almost went to the U.S. Olympic team for wrestling. Not too sure about that, but maybe one day I could try to reach out to her and maybe have like a good little sports interview with her, including her brother Jesse Porter. I definitely need to reach back out to him. I want to see what he's been doing lately, but no, like I hope everything is well with both of them. I grew up with them in high school, and they were really, really good competitors, and I myself was really good too. For those of you that don't know, I used to wrestle back in high school, and I had a JV record of 27-3. I was invited to go to the national tournament. I think it was called Corinth. For those of you that don't know, out of the capital region where I lived here in Albany, if you do compete in wrestling tournaments and you are actually good enough to compete, then your coach will bring you out to those tournaments and you will become, I guess, invited to go to invitational tournaments to expand your skill set and your talent levels. So, how, I guess, like the, ranking system really went for national wrestling tournaments is just that if you keep winning and you keep facing the top tier guys or women in your division, which girls wrestling isn't really that populated, so girls actually end up facing other guys. But if you're doing better than the guys as a female, then I don't see how it is that difficult for the sport of boxing to not have that type of setup, which I understand why, but I think it's going a little bit too far, because it's like, if a woman like Clarissa Shields is calling out Keith Thurman and she wants to fight him and she wants to see how she would do against a Keith Thurman, then let her fight. I really don't see any problem with that. Just that, when things do get a little bit too overboard in the fight, where Clarissa, she can't handle Keith Thurman anymore and Keith Thurman is able to just beat the crap out of her, which I'm just saying that theoretically, if that were to happen, then, sadly enough, she can't beat him. But at least give that woman her fair shot. See, now with Amanda's case, she's not able to get a fight with anybody in her division. And she's trying to go for undisputed, as she should, because she is, the queen. And the queen needs to have her, have her toughest competition placed in front of her. But Amanda Serrano, she is wanting to fight everybody. And sadly enough, she's not getting that opportunity against any women in her division, because she is now the WBC and the WBO world champion. So the champions that are left is Erica Cruz at or for 126, right? And then there's that other lady, Sarah Mahfoud. She's not that good. She's okay. She's not like the best female in the world, but I still give the lady her credit. She is a world champion. She holds the IBF. So if Amanda were to get those fights, if those fights were to be easy to make, regardless of them wanting to duck, if they were forced to fight her, then I definitely have Amanda, becoming undisputed very quickly. She would dominate both of those ladies, just simply because her style is just too much for them, and she's just a bad style matchup because she's a southpaw, and southpaws run boxing, and she's just so versatile, and she knows how to break you down. I basically call her the female version of Evander Holyfield, simply for the manner that Evander Holyfield had the same style, but just at a much larger level, and she has a good emulation of him, where she does things at a much more destructive level, where she knows how to read you, and she knows how to break you down, and she knows how to hurt you in the process. She's almost like a mini version of Errol Spence mixed with Evander Holyfield, but if I want to use any Puerto Rican great, I definitely put her next to Wilfredo Gomez in that manner, because Gomez, he hits hard and he was technical with it too. So putting her next to Gomez along with Evander Holyfield, she just had it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's just that good, and I don't see any female at her level that becomes a 7 division world champion. She's not on that Manny Pacquiao BS. She's definitely won 7 titles in 7 different divisions, or she won multiple titles in 7 different divisions. But either way, she is a 7 division world champion, and that is a big success. Much respect to her. She's awesome in her regards, and she definitely did her thing. You know what I'm saying? I think where she's at right now with Jake Paul, I think it's a good move, but she just needs to be careful with it, because Jake Paul, he's not he's never done business in boxing like that at a high level. And I think where Amanda's at in her career, if he's just there just to offer a boatload of money to like all the fights that she wants, then I'd be like, okay, fine. I think that's a good step in the right direction. But where things are between Amanda's career and all these other ladies that don't want to fight her or that are iffy to fight her, I think with Jake Paul coming into the mix by offering good money to these ladies to say, hey, I'll give you $5 to $10 million, where Amanda, even if she has to be like the B side, she's good, she's all set. But let's just say for a Katie Taylor fight, Katie Taylor, she gets like 5 million, and Amanda, she makes like a good, 3 million plus off the back end. Like, that would be awesome, because that means that she's gonna get her cut from Eddie Hearn, and whatever Jake Paul offers to Katie Taylor and gives to Amanda, as an extra purse split, or as an extra, purse bonus, right? I think that's amazing, because Amanda, she doesn't have to worry about anything, because she's just doing her job to just show up to the fight, beat up Katie Taylor, or put on a good, performance, and then boom, it's just easy. And for everyone that says like, oh, she Amanda Serrano, she can't be saying, what she can't say to the media, blah blah blah, because she because she's kind of taking a page out of Clarissa's book to like trash talk and say her talk her talk, right? She's been quiet for for quite a long time throughout her career, and she's been calling out everybody. I mean, I even remember when Amanda called out Ronda Rousey, and Ronda Rousey at that time was saying that she could beat Floyd Mayweather. So why couldn't Amanda Serrano fight Ronda Rousey, for like a big boxing pay-per-view? She was a big star out of the UFC, but Amanda Serrano, she she can't come out of her way and call out some of these fighters, or try to create some controversy in what she believes in, so that way she can get that shine too. Because if she was able to have her reign in the UFC and say whatever the hell that she wanted to say, then why couldn't Amanda Serrano say that? Because it just shows Amanda Serrano, she's obviously going through that Floyd Mayweather type treatment by the media, where she should not be talked about, blah blah blah. And she's she's obviously just like a woman. You can't say this about her, you can't say that, blah blah blah. And it's just disrespectful, because it's just Amanda Serrano, she definitely earned her spot in her division, but it's she is not just this type of woman where she has to just be quiet. She is a very hardworking lady. She obviously has no children, but she definitely did her thing, man. I don't take that away from her. I think she's a amazing person. I would really love to meet her one day and just say that to her, because she's definitely just like that type of dedicated lady that cares about everything of what the sport has to offer. And honestly, if she competed in any other sport, I think she would definitely do the same thing. She would speak her mind out, and she would definitely make a difference, because what she's doing now for boxing is it's awesome, because that's what I love out of athletes that really push hard for their equal opportunity benefits, and have that good inequality advantage output, where you have the financial and social liberties to exercise your, your rights as a, as an individual. And I think that's what a lot of people need to do, especially in sports like boxing, where it's really hard to make it big in the sport. Like less than 1% of boxers actually make a really good income, but the rest of all the other boxers that are just not well known and they don't have like this good promotional backing compared to other fighters, they're struggling. I don't like to see that. I think Amanda is well overdue for her superstardom, because she definitely deserves it, and she proves it every single time. She like, in theory, like boxers should be making like millions upon billions of dollars, and how women are being treated in this sport needs to stop, because women like Amanda deserve, multi-million dollar paydays. Every boxer that works hard in the gym and shows, like what they're worth in the sport, they deserve a lot of money. Like, your favorite fighter that actually does put in the time and effort to be, or to dare to be great, is doing a good job of what they need to do in order to prove to us boxing fans of who they are as a fighter. Because, how they're getting paid now is just not going to change into the future until we, as the fans and boxing media, talk about it more. So I think as we keep exposing the corruption in boxing and try to make boxing more of a nationally, or more of a better centralized sport, where that the sport is actually taken seriously in terms of like where athletes can actually speak up for themselves and actually have proper representation in the sport, that's when I truly believe boxing will become a good mega multi-million dollar sport industry. Or I'd probably just say basically a mega sports industry, because that's how the sport should be, because you're putting your life on the line, but you're bringing out, let the best fighters fight in each other consistently. I think when that does happen one day, I will be happy to see that for the sport, because the sport needs it. And I'd like to see that for other sports, especially for like women's basketball. There are some girls on the WNBA that can ball, but obviously like we understand that not every woman can be as good as like Michael Jordan or LeBron James. But there's never really anybody advocating for like WNBA basketball players having a like a seasonal NBA versus WNBA face-off game to see who's the best players coming out of either gendered league per se. But it's like that's obviously not necessary, because the NBA has way better competition from the WNBA. Same thing with female golf versus men's golf. Men's golf is at a much higher level than female golf, but that's not to say females can't do good in golf. It's just that men, they have a much more higher interest in playing golf more than girls. Same thing with soccer. Men's soccer will always dominate female soccer, because why? Females have a lesser interest in playing soccer compared to men. But it's not to say females can't get paid well in soccer, but it's just more of like a market, issue in terms of the economic popularity of that sport alone. But as for the sport of boxing, like females can easily make multi-million dollar paydays in the sport. It's just that there needs to be more bigger exposure to the sport, where there's consistent media coverage of all fighters, and every fighter is just being able to be put on television. Kind of like in the past when Noemi Bosca said to me on my channel, when I asked her about the media coverage that boxers do not get all the time, But same thing with what Shenard Bunch told me. That was his first opportunity to fight on Showtime, and I was kind of surprised because I was thinking Showtime, would be able to kind of like keep fighters for X amount of time. But I guess it don't work like that. It's more like like a hit or miss type of offer, and it's like if you do well, then Showtime can consider or can possibly reconsider taking you back again, or they'll just probably just not hit you back up anymore and just say, all right, well, we'll just look into other fighters, blah blah blah, and we'll just go our own particular way of how we see fit for our type of fighters that we want to promote. And I don't like that because I think honestly boxing needs to be set up at the NBA where, like, if you do well, you should get all the promotional offers or sponsorship offers that give you all the coverage and all the glitz and glamour of what you deserve. If you're doing well in the sport, obviously nobody doesn't want to see like a bum fight on fight on a well-known network like ABC or CBS or Fox. But it's like, if you have like the best facing the best all the time, then you're always going to see the best 50-50 matchups. Like for college, wrestling, you always see the best wrestlers face each other because college wrestling will always show you the best teams going up against the other best teams. And no matter how many times you try to say, oh, well, that's just college wrestling, Kiernan, that's not how, other sports work like that. But it's like the best teams are facing each other, aka the best are always fighting. The best are always fighting the best. So there's no So there's no excuse for lack of competition not being fulfilled enough for the sport itself. Because either way, if that wasn't to be the case, then nobody would ever watch that sport to begin with. So for boxing, for the female side, I think the easiest fix is just that there just needs to be more promotional and sponsorship coverage for the sport. And then that's where the financial backing will come in, where, fighters like Amanda Serrano would be paid, mega millions for whatever fight that she gets into, because she's always going to have tough opposition matched against her, which, that's another problem too. The opponents that have been put in front of her, her very first title shot that she got, her whatchamacallit, original opponent that was a champion for, I think, the bantamweight title. I forgot what title it was. I want to say it was for the WBO, but either the WBO or the IBF. But that opponent avoided Amanda, and Amanda had to fight for a vacant title at that time. So Amanda, she was already a danger to so many ladies. But it's like, if that happened in the UFC, she would have automatically became like a champion, because the UFC doesn't operate like that. They put everybody against everybody, and it's always going to become a 50-50 matchup, because the UFC is like, look, we're having you come onto our platform and show to the world who you are. We're going to put you up against anybody, regardless if you know this person or not, or regardless if that person's too dangerous or too bad of a style matchup. It doesn't matter. The best face the best all the time. So I think it pretty much revolves back to my original argument of what I believe boxing needs to do. It obviously needs to centralize its market more with a nationalized type of fight league organization, similar to the NBA, which there was a national boxing organization, which is still existent, but it probably just doesn't get enough, media coverage on it, or it's just not as popular, and it wasn't as successful because obviously like the sanctioning bodies took over, that type of market. So I think when that actually does get enough media coverage and people actually are attracted to that type of market structure, then I think that's where things will get better. So I think where things are now with the state of female boxing and what Amanda Serrano is going through, she's definitely doing her thing. And I definitely, respect Jake Paul for helping her out. But I just hope he doesn't screw her over because, Amanda Serrano, she definitely deserves a lot of help because she's been paid really bad in her last couple fights. She's only been making like what, probably less than 100,000, if not maybe close to like 80,000. But it's like with Jake Paul giving her more money on the table and good enough that he split his purse in his recent fight with Woodley to give her a extra $500,000+ bonus. That's awesome. That's something that I actually respect out of Jake Paul. What I won't respect out of Jake Paul is that if he tries to do something really stupid where he tries to fuck up with the business aspect of Amanda Serrano's financial earnings, then I'm not gonna respect him. I'm obviously gonna disrespect the shit out of him, and I'm gonna I'm sorry. I'm gonna stand up for Amanda Serrano. So either way, I hope she does well, and I hope Jake Paul does not screw her over. I would hope that he's doing everything right, and things can go off, to a proper direction, because she she really deserves it, and she definitely really needs to have a proper backing, for the rest of her career. So I think where she's at right now, in boxing, I would hope that she does everything right. So much love and respect to the queen, Amanda Serrano, and I hope she is doing well, on this fine Sunday. And I hope to see her fight next soon. Hopefully it's against Katie Taylor. I hear that the talks are, somewhat in progress, but hopefully that can happen, and that fight can be made, because I truly believe Amanda will stop Katie Taylor, and I don't see Katie Taylor, really winning, and she obviously can't outbox, Amanda, and her, her pressure coming from Serrano is just going to hurt Katie Taylor late game into the fight. So I truly believe Amanda Serrano will just dog walk her, basically just pull off the same performance against Jamilef Mercado, simply because that the style is way too dangerous for Katie. And now I understand why Katie Taylor did not want that fight back in the past, and more so Eddie Hearn basically lowballed her, off of the, contractual obligation where she was supposed to make $200,000 from the fight, and then Katie was supposed to get $1 million. But Eddie Hearn tried to take away her earnings and make up the excuse to say that she can't blah 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 get this money because we decided to make a last minute change for this fight. So she's just going to get less money knowing that she already agreed to $200,000 now. So that was a smart move by Amanda. She stood her ground, and she exposed to the boxing world what type of crook that Eddie Hearn is. So hopefully in this second attempt to make the Katie Taylor fight, Jake Paul can offer big money to the table, and I'm pretty sure Katie, she will say yes. But if she does, turn down this offer, then there should not be any reason for people to say that Amanda is ducking Katie Taylor, because Amanda is not avoiding Katie Taylor. She's never avoided her. It's more like Katie Taylor is pricing herself out against Amanda Serrano, so that way when Amanda Serrano does beat the crap out of Katie and expose her for the fraud that she is, for not fighting for not fighting the best competition, then that will show that Amanda Serrano has always been the better fighter, for, pretty much at the, highest portion of her career. So either way, you know, Amanda Serrano, she is the GWOAT number 2 next to Clarissa Shields. So either way, I hope this fight with Katie Taylor can happen. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. And yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys. Bye.